Welcome, welcome, Dr. Uniyal. Do you hear me?
Dr. Uniyal, you are muted.
You
You
are
are
mute.
muted.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And at the outset, I do welcome you to this webinar on challenges and prospects in marketing of medicinal plants in India and supply chain management. Actually, as you know already, we have discussed with you, and also we have written in our invitation letter that it is, I think, our humble exercise to get you people like those who are the stalwarts in the medicinal plant industry, and it's the different aspects of medicinal plants, not necessarily only in Ayurveda, but also in other disciplines like nutraceuticals and other things which are coming up very highly. So accordingly, we would like to see from the the perspective of the what are the really we should go forward for development of this sector, and particularly how the inputs could be jotted down in such a way so that it could help the government, the ministry, to take up this as their in their policy framework, and some of the schemes which could be best as a study or as a development tool, as a to apply a project, something like that also, so that we can show them some white paper sort of thing. That is our intention, and for which we are taking the expert opinion from you all, those who are the stalwarts in this industry and doing these things for a very long period of time. And also for your case, what is very important is that you have a fairly good idea about the National Medicinal Plant Board activities or whatever they have done and what are yet to do. And in that directions, what the meaningful role that NMPB could play. So that could get some more, I should say, insight from a person who have worked there itself also. So that, and then obviously the bigger sphere of the industry. So your deliberations will give us a lot of inputs to to frame to give up to put it in a white paper for our future actions by the ministry. Now with this few words, let me, before we start, let me introduce you. I have the honor to do that. So Dr. Ramesh Uniyal is having 25 years of experience and he's presently working as head Bioresources Development Imami Limited, Kolkata. He did his Doctor of Philosophy in 1995 in botany from High Altitude Plant Physiology Research Center, HNB Central Garhwal University, Uttarakhand. Previously worked for, already I mentioned, National Medicinal Plant Board, Ministry of Ayush. Then also he has worked in WWF Traffic India as researcher, and then also he has worked with Amit University, Noida as deputy director, member of expert committee for formulation of good agricultural practices, good field collection practices, member of Himalayan Task Force 2008 to 10 for medicinal plants under NMPB, member of High Power Committee under Chief Minister of Uttarakhand 2014 for medicinal plant sector in Uttarakhand. Dr. Uniyal has more than 80 research papers published in national and international journals. He has also published 4 books and have produced 1 documentary on medicinal plants. So keeping all this in, keeping all your expertise in view, you can, we are expecting a very, what should I say, a total perspective of medicinal plant sector's development. You can, you raise certain very relevant issues, certain, the way we should move forward. So we are looking for, I request you to please deliver your address.
Thank you, sir. Once again, thanks a lot for RCFC and particularly you, sir, Professor Majumdar, sir, that every time, whenever you ask for a lecture or participation, it is always a pleasure to attend the same. And the topic which you have selected this time, literally, if you see that one challenges, then prospects, and marketing and supply chain, this covers all things in medicinal plant sector. So nothing is left. You have covered all the things. So can I share that one now? My presentation?
Please, please.
Yeah, share screen, and I think this one.
Yeah.
Share is coming, sir.
It has come. You can make a full screen also.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Answer now?
Yeah, very clear.
So I just keep the topic as such, and I have been introduced already by you, sir. Thanks for that. So I will still go for the next one. See, there are some points, sir, before going for further elaboration of each slides. I will just have 1 minute here. See, when we are talking about the white paper on medicinal plant sector, I think because previously also I have made one document under UNDP project for government of Uttarakhand, and similar kind of strategy, even it was a broader study to have a strategy for conservation and sustainable utilization of medicinal plant in Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, and Arunachal. So I was the main consultant for Uttarakhand. So when we were preparing that strategy or plan or something like that, we got number of feedback from different ministries, from different experts. And on the basis of those inputs, these 7, 8, 9 points are very crucial when we talk about the white paper or anything policy paper on medicinal plant sector. That white paper or policy document should have these components. One is in situ conservation of medicinal plant resources. And particularly, there should be an emphasis on conservation concerned species. Second point should be sustainable supply of medicinal plant to all user groups. See, whenever we are talking about sustainable supply, we always talk for the industry, supply to industry or supply to Ayurvedic industry. It's not like that. See, you will see the all user groups, it's a traditional practitioners is a huge demand for that. Then in our household, another sector for that extract manufacturer, for exporters. So not only Ayurvedic Unani Siddha industry, we have number of other users who uses these medicinal plants. So their concern for sustainable supply should be addressed in that paper. And along with that conservation and supply, we need to see the augmentation of medicinal plant resources, either way of cultivation or plantation or captive or contextual, whatever means are there, we need to address those points. And then this is very unique thing that to provide health security through use of medicinal plant in primary healthcare. See, still this particular sector is known for providing healthcare at rural areas. So that policy paper or that white paper should have emphasis on this thing, that how we can make assure that this sector can play an active role in providing the health security at the rural areas. Another important point is on the same time to enhance the livelihood options. It should be income generating, employment generating at the rural areas. And then, of course, research priority areas needs to be find out for this sector. There is a lot of gap in varietal development. and there is no work done for the bringing that long gestation period to low gestation period, especially number of issues are in research which we need to address. Then, of course, this is a pain point for everybody, that's marketing and trade. This needs to be streamlined and channelized properly. And biggest problem, I will say, nowadays, which we are facing, the administrative and funding issues. See, although we have number of agencies working on this, but still a complete administrative setup is missing. And simultaneously, we don't have the regular funding for this sector. That is another issue. And of course, regulatory framework to support all these above. So these 8-9 points should be addressed when we are talking about any policy paper or white paper on this. Now I will start the things. See, in this sector particularly, if you see, we have different kind of stakeholders, starting from the collectors, then cultivators and farmers, traders, user industry, artisan, traditional healers, household users, all. Then research institutions are one stakeholder, policy makers, mainly government bodies, conservation, this mainly dealt by forest department. Then there are a number of NGOs, trusts, foundations, societies, they are working on medicinal sector. Then there are international organizations who are also playing very active role nowadays. Either is it World Health Organization or IUCN or UNDP or even now FAO and World Bank even. And last the year they have initiated, World Bank have initiated very vast project with government of Tripura. So they are also coming in this factor. So number of stakeholders we have. And I have just summarized a role, their challenges, their scope, the solution for this each stakeholders. See, first one is, if you see that collectors, see, their role is basically to supply, and they are collecting it from forest and wasteland. And of course, they are custodian of biodiversity. They have the traditional knowledge with them. What advantage they have? They have inherent knowledge of collection. They know the ground realities. They are the first informer of medicinal plant sector. They know the real ground realities. They can predict the volume. And what challenges they are facing nowadays, after talking to many collectors and these ground level that staff, we come to know that they are very vulnerable to exploitation nowadays. They are very scattered. Their access to timely information, they don't have access for these information. And balance between livelihood and conservation, there is always a fight between these things. Then poor infrastructure, they don't have good infrastructure for drying and these all things. Number of issues, challenges they have basically. And then what can be the solution for this stakeholder? This is awareness about good filtration practices at primary level. Although we have number of training program conducted for these kind of practices, but unfortunately, if you go to the tribal areas, if you go to the far-flung areas, you still find that there is a gap between information which we are providing to the collectors. They are not going to the down level. That's the biggest gap here. And of course, that they don't have any primary processing center. And time again, we have mentioned many times that due to poor infrastructure, poor processing facility at the primary level, we are wasting our raw material. And then they don't have the storage facility. Then medicinal plant development areas to be developed, including tree species, that is basically needed in that sector. Then again, next stakeholder, their key role is to that supply chain. Okay, and what farmers and cultivators have advantage, they know the correct identification of the species which they are growing. They know they can provide you the better quality in terms of uniformity, consistency. They can provide you the good agriculture practices, certificate, traceability, predictability in supply. Number of advantage we have while we are doing the cultivation. And challenges, again, this we have discussed number of times, that they don't have the quality planting material, they don't have the verified agro technology, and plus agroeconomics, which is more important rather than agro technology. And that supply of quality raw material to users in time, this is a challenge for them. Market access, price fluctuation, number of this challenges they are facing. And sometimes, if I talk to the hilly areas or northeast areas, the cost of transportation from actual field to roadhead is very high. Sometimes it's more than the cost of raw material. So that kind of challenges they are facing. Pesticide, heavy metal residues as coming in the RM, that is another challenge, and number of other things. And what I think that what is the solution for that is promotion of cluster farming. But right now we are doing number of things. We have number of farmers are doing the cultivation, but unfortunately that cluster farming is missing still. Although I know RCFC and state the Medicine Plant Board and MPB is doing a lot of things on that, but still there is a gap that we are unable to see the large number of cluster farming in field. And then selection of species for cultivation. And it is recommended that selection of species should be as per the agroclimatic zone. But you can see when you are going to field that farmers or whomsoever is doing the cultivation, they are more tend to profitability. From where we can get the maximum price, the species they are choosing. In spite of that, that agroclimatic zone is suited for that species or not. This is happening. Then financial assistance and marketing support to interested stakeholder, infrastructure, primary processing, good agricultural practices to be followed. These are the solution in scope where cultivators can improve. Fair price to be calculated on cultivator crop. I have separate slide for this. I will just come in detail on that slide for fair price to be calculated. And in cultivation, some issues I want to highlight that. See, we have given a lot of emphasis on herbs and shrubs cultivation, and in fact, our scheme is also on that. And but we don't have much emphasis on tree plantation. Whereas we are in Ayurveda particularly, number of tree, barks, wood, leaves, flower, fruits, roots are being used, but we don't have much emphasis on tree species. And that and there is a lot of scope for that. You can just see the example of sandalwood plantation in Australia by Adam Gilchrist, who was the Australian cricketer. He have taken the seedlings and planting material from India, in fact, with proper this permission and these all things. And they have thousands of hectares they have put under plantation. And I think last 3 years back, they, in fact, they started the harvesting and now they are supplying successfully to China and US. And we were the, I think, the best producer of sandalwood. But now Australia is exporting this thing to China and US because they did long-term planning. They initiated that thing and now they are taking the harvest. But still, we have number of other species where this kind of work can be done. Ashok is there, Google, Arjun, number of species we can count on. And second focus area, maybe I think that we should, rather than very common species, we should highlight on those species which are being imported for domestic use. Still, we are Jatamasi, Chirata, Mulethi, Hing, these all species, Gauthiria, in fact, and Salvia, rosemary, all things is being imported to India, despite of having good agroclimatic zone, suitable agroclimatic zone. And there are some patches where these work are successfully being done, but large scale is still missing. So that can be done in India. And another point in cultivation is that other than our indigenous species, which we are looking for farmers' betterment or to earn some foreign things, the species which are top selling worldwide, and we have suitable agroclimatic zone for them. Some of the species I have just highlighted highlighted. Ignatia is cranberry, milk thistle, chia seeds, jingo, number of species are there. So in worldwide, if you see the top 40 plants, these plants are listed there. And fortunately, Indian climatic condition is well suited for these plants. And again, some of the pockets you can see these species are growing very well, but in very small pockets, not in commercial level. So this is one scope where we can do something. And again, there is one more point that there is a need to be more focus on species which are under RAT category, either especially rare or endangered or threatened. So we need to give more emphasis on those species. And what can be done for that? Because see, only NMPB can't do this kind of work because there are number of stakeholders, number of other agencies are involved. So there is a need to have an interministerial setup, and coordination is needed to take this kind of ambitious projects. I know that in NMPB, the committee is there where 7, 8 ministries representative are there. But I think we need to have in white paper, we need to have emphasis on that kind of interministerial setup needs to be sit frequently to discuss these kind of things. And again, amendments in various existing rules and acts is required. If we want to push the medicine plant sector to another level, we need to do this kind of revision and amendments. Mindset regarding conservation, cultivation, livelihood needs to be changed, and survey needs to be done on for availability of land. This we are listening for last 10-15 years that there will be a pool of waste land, pool of unutilized land for cultivation of by interested stakeholder, but we are not seeing any result of that. And I'm not seeing the topic actually here. That is being this. And there are some limitations actually. I can say this limitation, but there may be another appropriate word for that. See, in Ayurvedic industry, we are unable to use the high content cultivated varieties, and we come across this kind of things many times. Farmers is saying that my content is high, so why don't you use that one? But there is a problem in Ayurvedic industry that they have their limitations to use high content variety. For example, I have given one example, kurkuma, where you say that particular variety or particular type is having more curcumin content. That may be very extraordinary material for extract industry, but for ASU industry, because in Ayurvedic books, they have written the dose that X gram of such material to be added. And that X material having a general limit of particular active constants. But on the same time, when I am using, instead of 3-4% curcumin, I am using 7% curcumin in that product, that may spoil the final product. Their taste, their smell, their texture, their color may be changed. So that kind of examples are there. Then why Ayurveda industry is not much interested in buying high content things? Because they have their limitations. And another very interesting thing that, see, we have developed number of agro technology. I think more than 104 species agro technology is already published, and many things are here. But by applying those agro technology, no one can guarantee that produced raw material will be API compliance. I have seen many times they have put all the efforts having good agriculture practices, but I don't know, in some of the cases, those raw material is not that passing through API. So that is another challenge we are facing, despite of all the precautions, because that may be due to soil condition, due to the water, due to the climatic conditions, particular contents is not coming. And this is very clear that if cultivated material fails in any of the API parameters, there are 6, 7, 8, 9, in sometimes 9 parameters. In any of parameter is raw material is failing, that can't be used in the Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani. That's the problem with the industry. So if in one parameter material is failing, we need to discard that material. So that's another challenge in cultivation. That one. And agrotechnology needs to be developed, which can guarantee the API compliance method. Unfortunately, what is happening nowadays, or what happened earlier, that agrotechnology were developed by the agriculture scientists in the ICR Institute and other institute. And their mindset is to produce, to have more yield. Okay. And in that want of more yield, they forget the composition of the other actives. Whereas in Ayurveda, if actives are not there, only volume is there, that material is not suitable for the Ayurveda industry or any other industry. So that kind of gap is there basically. And now it's a very interesting point that cost of cultivated material is always fixed in view of market price. Whereas we say that whatever is actual cost of cultivation, if you do that and you just simply add 30 to 50% or at least 30% profit, it should be the market price. But cost of cultivation should be worked out very honestly by either ICR Institute or any institute, and then they should come out with the real economics. But what is happening nowadays, we are very blindly following the market price for a species, forgetting heavy trade margins, because there are a number of chain and there's raw materials changes hands to hands and then finally reaches to trader and then to industry. So that should be not there. See, we need to have a very honest observation on cost of cultivation. This is not very recent example. I prepared this slide, I think 4 or 5 years back. So I could not update that one. Just 4 or 5 example. For example, Kutki, 3 years crop, 2.5 years crop, total input cost, and these costs were taken from the published information, the institute who are working on those species. We have taken these economics. And if you say that input cost includes planting material cost, land preparation, labor cost, and manure, irrigation, harvesting, everything they have included, is coming on that time 1,64,000, and yield is almost 350 kg per hectare. If you see in that economics, it should come to 470 rupees actual cost. If we add 30% profit directly, it should be 610. But on that time, that Utki was rate was 8 to 950. And now offer now is more than 1,1300 now, but it's 4 or 5 years back. Similarly, Kapoor, Kachri, Hedychium, similarly Ashwagandha, similarly Sargandha. Our point is this: it should be done very honestly. They use calculate the input cost, keeping in view all the parameters as stated above, planting material to labor to everything, and then come up with this is the average yield. And then same economics, you just add 30% or 40%, whatever is there. If yield is good, 30% is good. If yield is very low, then you can go to the 40%. Like that can be worked out. Still, I'm very sure that in some of the cases, you will find the market is much higher than the actual cost of cultivation. And then this basically trader, they are the link between collectors, cultivation, and end user. They supply the raw material to all user groups. They are bound to maintain their stock around the year to industries and other users. And there is a lot of challenge in trader community nowadays, because earlier we were having the traditional supplier whose generations are doing this kind of business. But now new generations of traders, they are not much interested. So that gap is coming, and that knowledge is not passing to the next generation on collection, on right season, on how to keep the material in storage. That information is missing in new generation. And logistic cost for them is increasing day by day. Regulatory pressures are there, and business diversification. New generation is doing another kind of business, inventory management. Now this all online things happen, so they are coping up with this kind of thing, managing inventory or infrastructure, and these all things. Profit margins are now low compared to earlier times. Then quality challenges are coming due to climate change and many other things. And to make a linkages with various primary label cutters is a big challenge for trader nowadays. And from where they are getting, trader is literally, this is the well-known figure that from wasteland for tropical forest and imported and cultivated is only 20%. From these areas, they are getting the raw material. And these are basically they are supplying to these industry. Either is Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, or extract industry, or phytochemical compound in the pharma. Now phytopharmaceuticals are here, health supplement, nutraceuticals, food supplement, Ayush Ahar. Now number of industries have come up who are using the medicinal plant. These are some of the prominent where traders are selling the raw material. And on what parameters quality is being tested, and I'm just focusing only to Ayurveda industry because Siddha have their own pharmacopoeia and Unani have their own pharmacopoeia. Indian pharmacopoeia is here separately. So there are a number of pharmacopoeias depending on the user industry. For Ayurveda, these are some of the parameters. And now 2-3 years back, the last line, heavy metals, pesticide, aflatoxin, microbial has been added now to API. Earlier it was not there, but now they are part and parcel of the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia. And this is, I just try to summarize the trade channels actually, basically, what is how supply chain or this things is going on. I just did the exercise. Maybe there are some gaps, but still, by and large, this kind of trend is going on. Primary collectors and farmers, either they are sending to local markets, grocery shops, some of the town in a small town, local market. Either they are, in few cases, some industries are buying from the primary, very few cases, or agents of traders are there. And in some states like Chhattisgarh and MP or in Uttarakhand, they have their mart or mandis. So primary collectors and farmers are sending their raw material either mart or mandi or local market, grocery shop, or in some time agents of trader and industries. Now see, again, that Vaidyas are taking from the local market. Even they are not taking from primary collectors. Traditional healers are also buying from the grocery shop and local market. And from those local market, they are wholesalers. The wholesaler, generally they are in the class B cities at least. They have good contact with the local market. Whatever is being collected by the primary collectors, farmers going to the local market, from local market is coming to the wholesaler. And sometimes this wholesaler is also taking material from the mandi and mart. They took part in the auction and they are taking the raw material. And again, some of the agents who are working in the C class or D tier cities, they are collecting the material from primary collector and sending the wholesaler. In very few cases, traders, agents of traders and industry directly that trading with the industry. Sometimes industry also taking some material from mart or mandi. There are some industry, small and like that, they are also participating in the auction and they are taking some mandi. But majority of the time from wholesaler they are taking. So that kind of structure is more or less exists in India, where you see the industry is, or industry means end user, is seldom buying from the direct sources. 1 or 2 or 3 in between they have the chain. Now what we are not proposing, basically, we are advocating that this kind of system should be there. This is a very ideal situation, ideal trade kind of things, where we are seeing that collectors should be trained. Only trained collectors should be allowed to collect the medicinal plant, and cultivation by the only registered farmers. Not that anybody is coming to that one, so their training, their capacity building will be done with the financial support from the NMPB and technology support from the CSI labs. We have number of CSI labs working on these kind of things, ICR labs, CSI labs, financial support from the NMPB, and all this support and technical and financial support should go to the collectors, primary collectors and farmers. They should be trained enough, and whatever they are collecting or whatever they are producing after taking the support, tech and financial from these NMPB, CSR, ICR, whatever produced there, it should come to the self-help group level or joint forest management committee level or cooperative level. And here again, with the support of NMPB, they will certify the raw material. And as per API, as per Siddha Pharmacopoeia, whatever they can have that, then they will certify they should have the small lab at cooperative level where they can certify the raw material. And then, because they have now bulk certified raw material, that can be auctioned directly to industry, traders and exporters. And of course, there is semi-processing in between also. If someone wants to do a semi-processing, the support will be there from NMPB, technical support from CSR. And then after semi-processing, again, that material will come to the cooperatives. And from cooperatives or self-help group or malt or mandi, whatever name you can call, that is going to auction the certified plant, the raw material, and then every company can take that raw material. That may be an ideal situation. And then users, basically, another stakeholder is user, and not only industry. This household users is also very huge. Traditional healers are also using, exporters, health, every this segment is using this one. These all are the users of medicinal plants, and their role, of course, value addition, marketing, product development, branding, everything they are doing. And what challenges they are facing, particularly if I see the industry, that sustained supply of quality raw materials is challenge, or is always challenge. And traceability of RM, because most of the time it is, as I show you earlier slide, most of the time we are not buying from the primary sources. We are buying from the wholesaler or trader in big cities. We don't know the traceability of RM. This is a big issue. Then adulteration in substitution is the biggest challenge which herbal sector is facing nowadays. Nobody knows what is coming in name of what. And simultaneously substitutions are going on. Correct identification is another issue. Similar looking species, similar family species, similar agroclimatic zone species, similar maturation time of same there are 3-4 species which have same maturation time. Collection of those materials is very difficult. Correct identification at primary level is very much lacking. Then, due to the good field collection practices, low active material content is coming nowadays. Infestation, because we don't have the much or don't have the good storage facility. Infested material is coming, high microbial load material, because we don't dry properly and store it. High microbial load is there. Then most of the time when we are with the primary level, we don't have the material in bulk to lift. Affordable price is a debatable issue always, and simple and transparent regulatory process. In every 2-3 years, there is a new law on trade, on use, on export, on value addition kind of things. So that's another challenge for user industry. And most lackingly, that post-harvest facilities at primary level is lacking, and that we are advocating very long that uh, whomsoever is supporting medicinal plant sector, first foremost, this thing is that farmers or collectors should be supported for drying facilities. And other issues we have discussed, but just conservation, because without conservation, we can't think of medicinal plant sector for 10 years down the line. And under that conservation, you see there's a lot of emphasis is being given to this conservation. And that's why every year in 22nd of May, we are celebrating International Day for Biological Diversity. And keeping in view the importance of biodiversity, 2010 was celebrated Year of Biodiversity. And if you see the figures and facts across the planet, it's not India or Asia or Europe, across the planet, there's rapid degradation and collapse. And despite of a lot of, you can say, progress, we fail to halt the species loss. Every year there is number of species adding to that list, and shrinking. This natural habitats are shrinking in most part of the world. Just one figure: in whole of world we have 34 hotspot, which covers 2.3% of Earth land surface. But you can see their importance. Only 2.3% of Earth's land surface, but they have more than 50% of world species. So that's why they have declared as a hotspot of biodiversity. And if another line you see, very alarming, original extent of hotbeds was 23.5 million square kilometer, now left with only 3.4 million square kilometer. So how much we have lost during these years. And Himalaya, we have Himalaya, one of the hotbeds in India, and Western Ghats another, and they have left with only 25 and 23 respectively of their original habitat. So you can just see how much in India we have lost about biodiversity. And if you see the another figure, that 36% of world's species are considered threatened. And in India, particularly, more than 1,300 species in India, which are coming and which can be considered as threatened. And particularly, if you see the Indian facts, so we always claim that we have a vast biodiversity, 8.1% of world. We have one of the 16 mega biodiversity countries in the world. That is also fine. Eighth largest country in terms of biodiversity. We have nearly 47,000 plant species, and which is almost 11% of world species. That's why we are very rich in biodiversity. And to be very precise, 6,560 species under 386 families of medicinal plants are reported as per FRST report that conducted by NMPB and these are. And in trade, almost 1,200 species in trade. And out of those, 310 species are being used in large volume, more than 100 ton per year. And these some other factors that what capacity we have. And 15 agroclimatic zone and 33% of high plants species are endemic. And majority of the plant, this forest is managed by the forest department. But very interestingly, you will see the Chhattisgarh and Odisha also, in Uttarakhand also, there are thousands of one panchayat who manage the forest. Not only forest department, apart from forest department, one panchayat are very strong in some of the areas. Joint forest management do have some forest land to manage. In Chhattisgarh, particularly, people's participation protected areas is there. They have large chunk of forest to manage, and then we have civil forest and others. Apart from the forest department, there are other also who manages this forest biodiversity in the job. And earlier it was very regular exercise, but now I think 3-4 years I have not heard about any camp workshop held. Otherwise, earlier it was very regular exercise. where they come together, experts come together, and they discuss and they find out the species which are coming under threat. And what conservation efforts done so far in India, if you see that 110 national plant conservation areas, minimum one is 200 hectares in 13 states successfully established. And in India, we have more than 700 protected areas, which covers only approximately 5% of our total geographical area. We have 102 national parks, then wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves, community reserves. So many biosphere reserve we have, World Heritage Site we have, tiger reserves, sector groups also. India is very fortunate to have thousands of sector group across the different states, herbal garden, and these all are the way of conserving our natural resources or particularly biodiversity. And particularly the 1 minute for sector groups, this is basically very informal institutions, but very strong. In Uttarakhand, in West Bengal, in Chhattisgarh, in Odisha, Northeast, I have visited many sector groups where local communities is protecting the forest, protecting some species, and they have very unique kind of things they have. They have harvesting restrictions to allow the natural population. They see, I will give you one example. In Uttarakhand, we have one place where very rare species is found in that forest area, very rare, I think very rich in biodiversity. So the local practice is that no harvesting is allowed. Only they have fixed in particular season 2 to 3 hours for harvesting. And that time is very peculiar. In month of winters, they allow you to go to the forest with a limited number of persons, and that every year they change the house. Suppose that village having the 100 houses, so every year 5 houses will be allowed to go for collection. And in such a way they are managing that they allow you to go in the winter months, and morning they will ask you to go up to 5 to 7. So you can just imagine in that winter, 5 to 7 early morning, you are allowed to go. And then whatever you can collect, you will bring, and in the temple, local deities is there. In temple, you have to disclose the matter which you have collected. And then you can trade after. So that kind of restriction, that kind of rules they are following to preserve, to protect that forest. And one more is very interesting. You are not supposed to wear your shoes while going to the forest. So you will be very careful while walking. So you will not destroy any seedlings or new plant. You will be very careful while walking. So that kind of rules they have made. And this, I think that although there is a lot of documentation is there, but we need to give more focus on sector groups. Whenever these sector groups are there, we need to study, and there are a number of sector groups in Bengal, in fact. So if there is any document, one can see that how they are preserving, protecting the natural forest. And this is, we debate that due to over exploitation, that we are losing our bioresources. But apart from industrial requirement, apart from industrial to fulfill the industrial demand, there are a number of other factors which are equally responsible for reduction of bioresources. I can give you some example. There are some species which are not at all in trade, but they also become rare and endangered. So one can say that, see, it's not like that, whatever species industry is using is coming under rare endangered threat. Some species which are not at all being used by the industry or any other user, due to climate change, due to habit degradation, due to invasive alien species, nutrient loading, number of things that those species have vanished from the natural. There are some number of other factors as well responsible for the bioresource degradation. And in for conservation or augmentation of medicinal plant, what government of India through NMPB or through various other groups, these are just glimpse of what government of NMPB have done so far. As per their last report, more than 1 lakh hectare is brought under culture conservation. As I told you, there are NPCA and others also, other steps also have been taken. 142 species they have prioritized for cluster cultivation. 104 agro-technology they have developed, published the information, but there is a need to upgrade those agro-technology with agroeconomics. And more than 2 lakhs hectare of cultivation only during 11 years, 2009 to 2020. And they have supported 85 species so far. Now, aroma mission is, and phytopharmaceuticals mission is also encouraging for cultivation, particularly for aroma mission. You can see there is a lakhs of hectares is bring under aromatic plants cultivation by CMAP and others. And of course, now you can see the role of private sector and in infrastructure creation. They have the private sector have also in the field now. Capacity building is happening along the year. We have number of nurseries supported by the NMPB and others. Now we have good network of SMPB and RCFC to support the farmers and other stakeholders. Voluntary certification scheme with Quality Council India is also doing well. And we have also taken the good agricultural practices certificate from QCI for our concha cultivation in Gujarat. So that kind of initiative that government is taking, particularly NMPB. And there was, I was just reading the letter which you have sent, sir, along with the 13 topics. There was one topic for investment opportunities. I just have to put one slide on that because in 2022, Agriculture Finance Corporation, AFC in Delhi, they conducted one international workshop, particularly in this topic. What are the investment opportunities in medicinal sector? And number of banks were there, SBI, then HBBC, that one more bank was there. 3 banks were there, along with the ministry and some agriculture ministry representative. Whole day we talked about the investment opportunity and some of the things which I presented there, that the scope of funding in these areas is needed. Foremost is conservation. Either is the medicinal plant conservation areas or medicinal plant development areas. Apart from the funding, technical support is also needed to creation of MPC and MPD. Similarly, for commercial cultivation, apart from regular cultivation, which we are doing for 185 species or 100 odd species, there is a need to think beyond traditional cultivation. There is a need to do some focus, some R&D on hydroponic, aeroponic, and particularly we have also started the hydroponic, and our Brahmi cultivation in the hydroponic is doing very good, although this is a very primary phase, but initial results are very encouraging. So there is a need to have investment on some scientific cultivation, scientific commercial cultivation. Again, high-tech nurseries. This now there is no role for the traditional kind of opium. Now we need a high-tech nursery where we can produce lakhs of seedlings, of quality seedlings for farmers for commercial cultivation. For that, we need the investment opportunity is needed. Then post-harvest management, and traditional post-harvest management will not work. Now we need some innovation. You can see that horticulture, there are a number of innovations. In other sectors, there are a number of innovations. Similar kind of innovation we need the medicinal plant sector when we talk about the post-harvest management. And similarly, for storage, for go down where we are losing maximum of our raw material we lose during storage and in our poor go downs. So investment is needed in that sector. Then of course, if we want to just earn more, so there is a need to invest money in processing, semi-processing and value addition sector, and particularly at the primary level. Quality testing labs, this is also big area where we face a problem. We are only big cities, we have the quality testing lab. And it's very difficult for a small farmer or cluster of farmer to send his material again and again to the this big labs. So there is a need to have a low cost but effective lab at the primary level. So at least farmers can get the quality testing from that lab. And of course, then, of course, capacity building, entrepreneurship development, this kind of area also need the investment. So I think this is the last one. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot to hear very patiently. And I think I have not crossed 1 hour. It's almost 15 minutes or so. So thank you once again. And now I'm open for any kind of question if somebody has.
Thank you, Dr. Uniyal. It is really a very good deliberations from your end, and we have really got a lot of thoughts from your lectures, and obviously, our today who have attended it, they will also raise certain questions. But as I have told you earlier, we have intentions to make it in a formatable way, how we can put it to the ministry for some effective policy. So that is also one of the things in my mind. But just I hand it over to Dr. Sri Shantanu Chakraborty, and there are also from the audience one question is there. I know Mr. Joyanta Vishwash has joined, who has also raised certain questions. But before that, I have a very small questions to you, because this is what I have, what I have noted. You have mentioned about the Jhatamashi and the Chirata and others also, which are getting imported. And that's obviously the question that comes to my mind. If the cost of procurement, we can have this sort of data. What is the most important thing is that then we can see also if we take this sort of exercise, like for Jatamansi, I know you can, or the Chirata, even the Sikkim in our region, like in Eastern region, Sikkim is also one of the very prospective, so far your Jatamansi or the Chirata is concerned. So why don't we, if we see the because even in Sikkim, I'm telling you, it's a fact that the cost of productions or cost of generation is a little bit higher than which you can consider in a plane. But that's why but this is a very altitude specific, species. So what I rather would like to know from you, if we have the data, that is very important. We can make just so that the exercise you have done already for some of the species as we have shown. So that is what I would like to be interested, that if that data we can come and we can see that even in India, instead of importing, if we can have this sort of sources from our states, like Sikkim or others, so that we can make up this. They are ready to pay even a higher premium for that. So that could give me a good idea. If you have that sort of data, I think you may add it, or you may share this data with us also. So this is what is my request. Yeah.
Yeah. So see, as far as Jatamassi and Chirata is concerned, the data in what rate traders are selling, that I can share with you. What volume they are bringing, that is not compiled well, but you can just see the whatever is being traded in India in Jatamassi and Chirata is almost 95% is coming from the Nepal. 95%. So whatever data you get in any publication, any book that industry is using such and such ton, that is coming from the Nepal. One thing. Second, as far as initiative is concerned, you rightly mentioned the Sikkim. 4 years back with the help of Department of Biotechnology and IBSD. We took the initiative for Chirata particularly, and it grows very well in I'm just Western Sikkim side. I think West Sikkim or something. I have, and we published one paper in fact with the IBSD. That area is very much suitable, and some area in Kalimpong area, and I think Krishi Vishwavidyalaya something is there. They also did some work on that, but unfortunately, continuation is a problem. Once project get over, then nobody cares. So I asked on that time we received the forest department invitation, please come and have a kind of agreement with us. And I was there to discuss with the PCCF and state board. So at the end of the day, nothing happened. But in my experience, that cultivation was very successful. We conducted that analysis. It was good, and then I started Chiraita and Jatamasi initiative in Uttarakhand. And Jatamasi, we are doing in Dharchula area, which is bordering to China, and very successfully. We don't have much one, but almost 1 acre or so a plot is for last 3 years we are maintaining for Jatamasi. So I am not taking that argument from others. Whenever I see scientists from the many institutes, they say Jatamasi is not growing well, and this I can't take that argument because we have seen my staff has done that research, and I'm almost 1 acre short of plot we have successfully for Jatamasi. And in Chirata, in fact, we have gone another level. I have submitted a booklet on Chirata to the DBT because they funded that one. Successful cultivation, good agriculture practice of Chirata. We bring the seeds. We initiated that one. We initiated the polyhouse nursery. Germination was more than 80%. Then we transplanted to field. There was a mortality of about 60%. Then we changed our strategy. We find out some suitable zone as per their natural climate, and now proudly I am saying that more than 75% survival in field. Although it's a very early stage, but that we have done, and successful cultivation technique we have developed for the Chirata. And I think we are saying again and again to DBT that perhaps Jandu Foundation is the only organization at present in India have more than 7 lakh seedlings of Chirata. And that photograph was very nicely, growing very nicely. But there are some techniques now, because whatever I have seen, and we are documenting that one, in open condition, is very difficult to survive. Chirata is in India, and particularly in Uttarakhand, that area, in open condition is not surviving. This more almost 40-45% mortality is there, whereas in polyhouse is 100% successful. So it's a very early stage to say, but I have already applied for DBT that please allow us to have some funds for low height polyhouse tunnels. And then there are some very interesting things. I will meet you sometime. I can't disclose in this, but I will meet sometime. I will show you some other things.
Yes.
Very interesting things. Very interesting. And it can be a successful.
Right, Dr. Chiri. Thank you.
So I will do that.
Thank you. Dr. Shah, Mr. Shantanu Chakraborty, please.
Thank you, Professor Majumdar. And listening to Dr. Uniyal is always a very enlightening and experience. And Dr. Uniyal came up with a very fantastic presentation and he has nicely presented all the challenges and prospects. I believe that there are 2-3 points on which we can have a little bit of discussion. Firstly, Dr. Uniyal mentioned about suboptimal performance of cluster farming. We'd like to know from Dr. Uniyal, what is his opinion about this suboptimal performance? What are the bottlenecks? What are the challenges specifically in this cluster farming? Why it is not successful, sir?
See, why it is not successful, I can't say, but why we were successful in Kutki and Chirata cluster farming, that I can tell you.
Yeah.
See, there is a need for a continuous support to farmers. It's a fact. We need to understand that it's not a one-time job to give one farmer a training for 1 day or 2 day and then ask him to you do these things. That is not going to happen in cluster farming as well as individual farming. My staff, I will just give our example. My staff is 24 into 7 with the farmers. And because these are the new kind of crops, we need to have hand holding of farmers round the clock. So what we did that our staff is there, dedicated staff is there, and they are keeping touch with the farmers. Even we have made that one group, WhatsApp group. So whenever they have any problem, any pesticide, anything is coming, they just click the picture. Everybody is having the smartphone nowadays. They click the picture, they are sending that in group. And in our group, we have some experts also, pathological expert or some that ICR fellow also. They immediately respond. Then you can do this, you can try this. So that kind of innovative kind of initiative needs to be done at the cluster level. 1 point. Second point, in cluster, see that if you see the guidelines basically, that minimum number of farmers should be there, minimum area should be there. If you go by that, you can't make the cluster. You need to see the like-minded people in cluster. Most of the time, clusters are a group of farmers who have different kind of interest. So the farmers which are really interested, maybe only 5, that cluster will be successful. Instead of having 100 farmers doing the same thing with a different kind of background and different kind of mind setup, it won't work. So we always prefer to have a selection of farmer should be the most critical part. That's the main thing. I have seen that if we have taken more time on selection of farmers rather than training is fine, but selection of farmer is very, very important for successful cluster farming.
Thank you, Dr. Uniyal. That's a very exhaustive assessment of this situation. Now, the next point where we can have a discussion regarding fair price. You have mentioned about the importance of a fair price, both to the industry and both to the farmer as well. Now, that is the most ambiguous thing in the entire value addition chain, I believe. Let me share my perception over here. We listened to another discussion on the other day, and we got a little bit of industry perspective on that. So we learned that the final product market is very competitive, and all the companies, all the industries want to give price advantage to their customers. And then after fixing their maximum retail price or their maximum price, they back calculate what the price they can pay for the raw material. And that, according to their assessment, is the fair price for the raw material. But if we consider the farmer's perspective, what we believe that fair price should be based on cost of cultivation. And though we have certain cost norms for medicinal plants, but those are kind of outdated. And in most of the cases, only input cost is included in the cost norm. There are certain cost heads are missing, namely farmers' labor, capital investment servicing cost, primary processing cost, crop insurance, storage loss, grading loss, and suboptimal provision for suboptimal yield also. So that, and often if all these cost heads are added up, it becomes a very significant amount. So according to your opinion, sir, how we can reach to a price consensus what can be the basis of figuring out a fair price?
See, fair price is always debatable. No doubt on that. See, even in MSP, you see state to state, that's a problem. Labor cost vary state to state, region to region. One thing. Second is that, as I told, that there should be a independent body, not farmers, not industry. There should be an independent body like ICR. They just calculate the things very fairly. They ask the farmers what is the actual cost. They can have some their own inputs because they are agriculture scientists, and the industry is open for that. See, if third that any independent organization can work out the real economics, we are saying add all the things, even labor costs, farmer manures, everything you add, whatever is price is coming and yield is coming, that should be the price plus 30% or 40%, whatever depend on the species. And that should be the price. But what is happening, if I am cultivating the atis, aconite, I am saying that in market is a 6,000 rupees per kg, you pay me that one. We are saying, boss, cost of cultivation not 6,000 per kg. We have calculated it's coming 2,500, including your that benefit. So problem is that cost of cultivation is another aspect, but we are equating that with the existing price. And that's, see, I'm not blaming anybody on that. This happen if I have something and in market price is 100 rupees, why I will settle for 40 rupees, 50 rupees? Very true. I will not settle. So this is the whole problem. Once you see the market price, see, market price is that price that raw material is coming through 4-5 hands, having everybody's 2-3% increment, then is coming. And the same price, if I am paying the primary label, then who will go to the primary label for the same price? If I am getting that price in the market with 3-month credit, with the guarantee is material is failing, they will take back. And the same price, why I will take that material? Industry should have some advantage of buying from the primary label. That is not happening because every time they or anybody is asking for the market price, is just we need that. So just to see that is lot of things in that one. So it is not easy to have a understanding on MSP or whatever you call it, fair price or something like that. That's why I'm saying whatever independent ICR organization, on the basis of their feedback, they can come with the cost of cultivation, actual cost of cultivation plus profit of 30%, 40%, whatever is feasible on that. But when we see the market price and then we are linking to that, that's the whole process is going haywire actually.
Yeah, our major concern is that NMPB, RCFC East and all and like-minded organizations are working very hard for promotion of cultivation of a medicinal plant. But the major challenge in sustainability of the cultivation is the price. Making the farmers interested in cultivating is not the issue. So they can be encouraged to start the cultivation, practice the cultivation. That is the easy part, but they quickly lose interest in cultivation after they goes through one or two crop cycles and have a clear idea about the revenue they can earn on that, and it is often not very encouraging for them. So that is one of the major reason for non-sustainability in this sector, specifically for the cultivated cultivation of medicinal plant. Sir, there is also another issue, very interesting issue you have brought up, that according to Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia, the formulation manufacturers, there is no incentive for using high quality material, and the material which actually contains a high amount of active ingredient. and only the quantity of the raw material is mentioned in the pharmacopoeia, regardless of its quality.
No, not quality. See, they have fixed quality standard. They have mentioned that ASC is this, WSC is this, active content is this. If active content is curcumin for 3%, which I am getting very easily, and on the same time there is a curcumin that rhizome having 7 or 9% of curcumin, they are asking double the price. Why I will buy? Because my requirement is to take the 2.5% curcumin content in my product. If I use the 6% curcumin, that may change the taste, color, texture, aroma. My end product may be spoiled. So that's a very clear. See, similarly in other species also, where they are saying that we have developed the high content actives. That is not suitable for here, because that may have an adverse effect, no? Because in Ayurveda, they have polyformulation. They have said that ashwagandha 2 gram, X 3 gram, and they know that the average ashwagandha is having 2% of that total vidonides content. And then they have made the formulation for 5,000 years. All of a sudden, ashwagandha is coming with the 8% of vidonide content. What will happen to the formulation? So
Right.
point is there, because they mention the quality as per their text, and they have certain limit for actives. If that active is going double or triple, it may create a problem. That's why I'm saying, if you have the high active content variety, go for the extract industry. They will happily take that one, because they need high active content variety, not Ayurveda industry. That
Yeah,
was
for the standardized extract industries.
Yeah, they will very happily taking that one. They are looking for Lacadong variety. They are looking for Palangili variety having high percent of curcumin, because their yield will be more on the same input.
Okay, so my last point, sir, that is regarding risk sharing. In the entire supply chain, we have discussed about this earlier as well. In the entire supply chain, we believe the farmers actually take the most risk, the farming risk and crop loss risk, and for them, their risk-taking capability is also very limited. So it can be a life and death situation for them in certain cases. And in the entire supply chain, if anybody makes a loss, that is the farmer, because processing industry and the trading community is not that much susceptible to making losses. So can we spread the risk among the total value addition chain? Will there be any possibility for that, practicality for that, and how industry can share a little bit of farming risk as well? Because what we feel that may create a lot of confidence in the farming community, and they can take up medicinal plant farming as an alternative source of income very confidently, if there is a risk sharing mechanism.
See, idea is good, theoretically is a good, but practicality is not so easy. Why? See, that's why for last many years, many stakeholders have raised this thing that there should be a crop insurance to help the farmers. But that is not happening, despite of SBI guidelines, despite of many rural banks guideline. I can say from my own experience, whenever you go to the bank from medicinal plant crop insurance, they said, boss, we don't have any further guidelines. We don't have the economics, because they need the cost of cultivation economics to ascertain the insurance, the premium and these all things. So unfortunately, I'm not saying it's a failure of NMPB part or failure of ICR. Unfortunately, as a stakeholder, we were unable to fulfill the guideline for crop insurance. If ICR or NMPB can help them that way, have a bigger project on that, and ask bank that these are the guidelines, these are the economics, on the basis of these economics, you can do the crop insurance. So that problem it can be solved. One. Second, as far as taking burden of insurance risk for any other group, I don't think it can be a practical. See, in the situation, industries already facing so much of distress. See, number of regulations, number of quality parameter. I will give you one very small example. Earlier, there was a ashwagandha, again, ashwagandha, very common example. Ashwagandha, there is a API guideline say that it should be a 1% total within content, for example. That is okay. Recently, they came across not nine now within nights. Now you need a within content. See, now whole lot which we have brought, and now we are seeing that within A is not in that, so whole lot is gone. So see, regulatory updating the quality parameters. Sometimes import countries also have new kind of restrictions. We will not buy any product having the neem in it because they have put azadirachtin as a pesticide. So all of a sudden, whichever product having a neem, we are not able to export. So that kind of risk already been taken by the industry. So saying that industry can have extra risk, I don't know. In my personal view, I don't think that any industry, not in medicinal plant, in any other sector also will come forward to share that kind of thing. But of course, if crop insurance is there, that may be a very good support to the farmers.
Thank you, sir. Actually, I was missing another very important point, and let me bring that up as well. In your last but one slide, you mentioned about entrepreneurship development. According to your opinion, what may be the potentiality or practicality of a small decentralized entrepreneurship development and how it can supplement the existing industry?
See, decentralization, or you can say that at primary level, there are a lot of scope for the entrepreneurship development. See, now industries are looking forward for approved QC approved material at the primary level. If anybody have a very small kind of investment, can ensure that API parameters they will test at the primary level, they can take that premium. Why industry will give that premium? Because whenever material is coming to industry, they are doing manpower is there, chemicals are there, time is there, and they are testing the metal, and it takes 2 to 3 days to come out that this metal is fine. Whenever when I get that material with those kind of certificate, I can immediately use. That will save industry time. So if that kind of intervention is there, a lot of scope for the entrepreneurship development at the primary level. When I'm saying primary level means where raw material is being collected. In that, if somebody can have some small lab, minimum that analytical abilities, and can assure that our material is API compliant or our material is free from the foreign matter, because you see that more than 15% material is rejected on the ground of foreign matter. It's a more than permissible limit. Always we have permit of 1 or 2% of foreign limit, but material is coming with a 10%. If for small that, if they don't have the facility for lab, if they can have the that cleaning facility, they can have that premium price, because I am paying for that. Once I take the material in my premises, I am hiring the labor, and then they are cleaning the material before use. So if I can get the assurance from any entrepreneurship development program that these villages have some entrepreneurship skill, these some group of farmers or group of unemployed youth can do that cleaning work. So that kind of number of scope is there for entrepreneurship development. Not only going for the value addition product development, that is another kind of entrepreneurship. But for primary level also, there is a number of huge scope for that one.
Right, sir. And you also brought up a very interesting point, that amendment of existing rules, acts and regulations. We feel now it's time we put our heads together to identify specific acts and regulations which needs change, sir. And we need to come up with a plan for that.
See, first thing that Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia of India needs to be revised. Why? See, now cultivation is going on. Every year, 1-2 species are being added for the cultivation. The API which were prepared 40 years back, on that time, all the material on the basis of they put the API coming from the forest. They collected from the forest, from the trader, and they make this quality analysis. Now, number of species come under the cultivation, and once you bring the cultivation, any species under cultivation, there is bound to have some changes in cultivation, because in cultivation, that species is receiving optimum climatic condition, optimum irrigation, optimum fertilizer, and then yield is good, content is good, size is good. So see, again, example, Ashwagandha, in API, they have mentioned 3 mm to, I think 8 or something like that. 8 mm should be the thickness. Whereas in cultivation is coming 10 mm, 12 mm, that they are saying the notice is failing. Why is failing? Because size is not matching. Whereas that is due to the cultivation practices. So that kind of number of things are there. Another example of senna, earlier it was not being fully cultivated, and now that farmers have the techniques, they are growing. Size is very nice, double of the original size of senna. Now traders are saying that this is not senna at all. We have not seen that kind of leaves, that broader leaves, brighter leaves. So they are going to reject the material because size is not matching. So that kind of number of things are there, which particularly in API needs to be done. Second, then you come the Act, Forest Act, Forest Conservation Acts. One very peculiar line they say in Forest Conservation Act, nothing goes in, nothing goes out. That's the baseline of their act. So when you are not permitted to take 1 gram of seed from the conservation forest, what's the use of that thing then? See, seeds will be produced every year. It will fall down because you are not allowing to collect the seeds. Hardly 2%, 3% germinate, others destroy as such, because in reserve forest, they don't have space to grow. So instead of that, if you allow your department, forest department, to collect the seeds, keep it to the outside, and then we may have number of seeds. We are not getting Jatamasi seed from the forest. We are not getting Kutki seed. We are not getting Chirata seeds. And then we are saying that we are importing because we don't have. We have, but we are not allowing to collect the species. We are not saying the harvest. We are saying only the part which is every year is coming, every year is falling. At least you can collect those things, no? So like that, there are a number of acts which say this cannot be done, this cannot be done. If you change these things, number of things can be changed.
Thank you, Dr. Uniyal. That is an exhaustive analysis. I took a lot of time, and over to Professor Majumdar.
Thank you.
I think there is also other, listeners, or rather the participants to this program. If there is any question from their end, then please raise. Else, I will rather request one of our, basically shades taking the pain of jotting down all the deliberations to help us to put it in a formatted way to the ministry. So, Madam Shoma Chakraborty is there. So, please raise any issues which you need to make it clear, raised by our Uniyal sir. Please.
So thank you for such an exhaustive and informative lecture. I have three questions to ask you. If you can kindly let me know. Matching the farmers' resources with yield potential and industry needs is a priority, but there may be a mismatch also because uh, what the farmers are producing and what the industry need, there may be a gap. How to bridge that? That is one question. Another question is how to define the priority cultivation requirement. Should it be rarity of the plants? Should it be the medicinal value, or should it be the earning potential? Or it should be a midway where a policy needs to be formulated with the proportion. Thirdly, you raised a very pertinent point on hydroponic and aquaponic cultivation. So, do you think that we should have some structured, innovative ways to approach also the urban people for cultivating this in a, clustered manner? Will that help the shrubs and herbs specifically? Thank you, sir.
Just what was the first one?
The first one was matching the farmer's resources with yield potential and industry need may be is very important, but there may be a mismatch.
Yeah.
How do we
See,
bridge the gap?
yeah, I will just share my thought one by one. See, what is happening nowadays, and for last many years in this sector, we have a bottom to up approach. Whatever farmers is producing, they are giving to another, then is coming to the industry. Rather than it should be top to bottom. Industry should have declared their requirement well in advance, tentative requirement, and that information should be gathered by NMPB or any other body, and that information should be percolated down to the farmers level that this is the requirement. You need to grow these species. Rather than they are producing the things and then they are saying that please buy. So that's why there is a mismatch. So it should be, and that information is already being shared by industry to licensing authority in each and every state. If that licensing authority can compile that data, that in my state there are 10, 15, 100 this Ayurvedic or any manufacturing units, their requirement is this for particular species, X species is they are making 100 ton. So then that information can be percolated down to the farmers level that there is a 100 ton requirement, not more than 100 ton. What is happening nowadays? Nobody knows what is the requirement. Everybody is saying I will grow ashwagandha, and all of a sudden there is instead of 100 ton, there is maybe method of 500 ton. Then naturally, then there will be a problem. So approach needs to be changed. And what was the second?
Sir, I think
Define priority cultivation.
Madam, I would like to just kindly excuse me, I am interrupting you. Just one relevant thing I would like to ask to Dr. Uniyal. Last day also he raised these things, and you are true that there are tier schedules. So far the big companies are concerned, may not be a problem, I'm telling you. But the problem that we are facing, because last 3 years, although it is mandatory to give this to the NMPB, but the scenario is that the small and very, many of the companies, those who might be any of the users of medicinal plants, whether it's a pharmaceuticals or whatever it might be. The thing is, what is happening here is that we are not getting the form filled up. So last suggestions, I think the last speaker has given, that might be one of the reasons. Our main problem is that we not only interested to know the quantum of their need, but at the same time, we want to know where from they are sourcing it. So he is telling that you should delete that question because people do not want to really disclose the source, in the sense that that might be a useful thing for him because he is getting something from that source, which is might be at a very competitive rate, which they may not want to disclose to their competitors, not for the government, but they are not that it might be leaked out and by any way they do not have that sort of thing. It might be one of the reasons, and we have taken the note of it, and we'll request, particularly at least if the clear schedule cannot be changed immediately, I will rather take the obviously the mandate from the ministry that please allow me to approach without the source. We want to know only the different species and the quantum, and what quantum they are procuring or they are collecting, whatever it might be, and which from the cultivators and how much from the collectors. That much I think they won't as per his suggestion, you will get this data. If it is possible, then actually this is the best, very fast thing. If we do not have the idea, we never will be able to make a effective planning. So that's I'd like to share with you. Yes, Madam Shoma Chakraborty, kindly if you take up your next question.
Yeah. How to define priority cultivation requirements? Because you mentioned about endangered species. So is it the rarity of the plants? Is it the medicinal value potential, or is it the earning potential that should get the focus, or there should be a middle way with the
See,
proportions defined?
Yeah, it's a very simple. Whatever is demand, we should cultivate. See, the conservation is a primary duty of forest department and other aligned department. They will do that one. They are doing many conservation parks and these all things. But farmers is here to earn the money. If demand is for X species, he should go for the X species, regardless of saying that this is a rare species or endangered. Although if he opt for the rare species, endangered species, he can earn more, because in case of rarity species, price is high. So it's totally commercial, should be commercial decision. If my agroclimatic zone permit me for Jatamasi, why I will go for the Ashwagandha? If my climatic zone is suitable for the Sanai, why will I go for the another species? So it should be a species selection should be basis on agroclimatic zone and your capability, means farmer's capability, investment capability. Is that one, he should understand the things first. So knowing the species, knowing the agroclimatic zone, then start the cultivation. Not like that, see the endangered species and market trend, not like that. You need to understand your capacity, your agroclimatic zone, your field, then you should opt for the species.
Thank you, sir. Last question, aquaponic and hydroponic. So do you think it's time that we have we focus on urban cultivation also in a systematized way? I mean, can it be like shrubs and herbs can be cultivated in aquaponic and hydroponic in urban regions, and can be, we can get the yield because land is a scarcity day by day?
See, I will say yes, we can do that, but only one problem is there. In hydroponics, initial investment is there. So going directly to the rural, it may be difficult because it's had initial some infrastructure cost. Otherwise, that is the best solution, because then you can do the vertical farming on that. You can shorten the lifespan. You can have a quality material. So biomass is good, content is good. You can take per acre more yield by vertical farming, but initial investment is there. So for small farmers, it may not be feasible right now, but of course, after few years, when this is well established, it can be done.
I just want to supplement that with one or two sentences. This type of hydroponic and aeroponic cultivation is now feasible only for very, very high value crops.
Correct.
And there are instances where high value crops like saffron is being cultivated on hydroponic and aeroponic basis, even within a container in some urban settings.
Right.
And for more wider scale application, we need more improvement in the technology and reduction in the initial investment, as well as reduction in the inputs and maintenance costs.
Correct. And very interesting example, Shantanuji, I came across a fellow who is doing saffron cultivation in Gurgaon in hydroponic. Can you imagine? In Gurgaon, he is doing. So in future, it can be done. Definitely.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uniyal, for your, again, we, in many of our occasions, you never hesitate to extend your cooperation. And we are really thankful to you, grateful to you for your, enriched lectures, and really which helps us to go forward in the direction of medicinal plant sector development. So with these words, I think, thank you very much once again for joining and for giving us such a enlightened lecture. Thank you very much. And we will share whatever the documents we'll be preparing at the end of some 4 lectures, and then also trying to do it, continuing it for the coming years also. So it will be our effort to make such a thing, obviously with all your kind inputs. Thanking you all, whoever be here today. And there are some questions that's been sent by one person also, but since he has left, I am not quoting that. So let me thank you and let me conclude the session. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And I will be visiting Jadavpur University on 9th for Dr. Haldar, that conference.
Okay, please,
So
please.
I will meet you there on 9th.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Santanu ji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.